The IKFF test would not only sharpen your kettlebell skills, it would also train every single muscle fiber that you have in your body. Grüezi miteinander, Gregory von Lebensstark hier. In 2019, the legendary Steve Cotter certified Angie and me according to his rigorous standards. Steve Cotter was one of the OGs and one of the early adopters of kettlebell training, and also one of the master trainers under Pavel Tsatsoulin's guide back when the RKC got started. Sometime later, he ventured out on his own and created the IKFF. I consider my sensei Steve Cotter as one of the original hybrids, one of the first adopters of the hardstyle ideology, where you use kettlebells for grinding lifts such as a press or squat or a get up, and combining it with the Russian way of training when it comes to the ballistics, like the swing, the clean and press, or the snatch. Now the workout, or I have to be a bit more exact, the test that I'm about to show you is Steve Cotter's IKFF CKT1 test. If you want to get certified as one of his coaches, you have to pass this fitness exam. And while I think it is a great way to test your physical and kettlebell skills, it is also an awesome workout if you are short on time. The preparation for this test allowed me to build more confidence with kettlebells, and I think that's one of the major reasons why you want to prepare for something, or prepare for a competition, or for a regular test in general, because it builds your conviction, your confidence, your skills, because you actually have to work with the tool. Another thing that I've learned by preparing for this test was the unbroken nature of kettlebell training, which I believe is one of its USPs. You see, when you pick up a barbell or a dumbbell, you cannot train with it indefinitely. But with a kettlebell, you can. That's why it turns kettlebell training into some sort of weighted locomotion. So without further ado, let me present to you the IKFF CKT1 workout or test. You want to do 100 hand-to-hand swings. Then you immediately move into 32 clean and presses or clean and jerks with one arm switch. This means 16 with the left side, 16 with the right side if you want to do it 50-50, or you can just use your stronger side and then switch sides to let your weaker side do the rest. That's up to you. Then we move immediately, unbroken, into 60 snatch, again with one arm switch. And then finally, we drop down into 30 goblet squats. Now there are some additional details, so if you want to check out Steve Cotter's IKFF test, I highly recommend you to Google it. But here I'm just giving you the gist of it, and I think it works so well for a solid training routine, or like I told you, a solid test to see what your kettlebell skills are made of. But hey, before we get started, I want to let you know that we just received over 100 Superflow kettlebells in our warehouse, plus our own mace collection, some brand new clothing, and our brand new fly kicks, the best shoes to train when it comes to kettlebell training. If you want to be the first one to get notified when we open up shop, check the first link in the description and sign up. It's completely free. For the weight recommendation, men, you want to use a 20 kg if you want to pass the test, and women, you have to use a 12 kg. So let's check out exercise 1, the hand-to-hand swing. Before I want to demonstrate the exercise, I want to explain it first. So I start like this, half a meter distance to the kettlebell, tilt the belt towards me so that the base is off the floor. Then I swing the kettlebell between my legs and I hip thrust it upwards. At this moment, I have a loose grip, loose arms, and I'm switching sides. Now I'll let gravity do its thing and the kettlebell drops. And now I imagine I have a button right here at my stomach area. So as soon as my arm clicks that button, click, I go back into the hinge. The reason why you want to understand this click maneuver is because you want to perfect the timing when the kettlebell drops between your legs into the backswing. And as soon as the kettlebell drops, you want to use some tension in your arms, preferably in your back muscles. So you pull your arm close to your body, boom, and then you're really gaining momentum. Looks like this. You will find that if you work with kettlebells for an almost indefinite amount of time without letting the kettlebell drop to the floor, you want to understand your breathing pattern. So I exhale at the top, through the mouth, and I inhale either through the nose or through the mouth as the kettlebell drops into the backswing. Exercise number 2, which we're going to move into unbroken, is the clean and press, or the clean and jerk. Now, the clean and press works like this. I clean the kettlebell up. The clean is the same biomechanical realities like the swing. The only difference is I hip thrust the weight up, not with that much force, because I want to pull the kettlebell up now. And I pull the kettlebell with a straight arm up, insert my hand inside the window of the kettlebell. I'm spearing the window of the bell, rack it close to my body, bring my elbow close to my body, and now I either push press it overhead, where I dip into the knees, then bump the weight overhead, and then go into the top fixation, or I can jerk it where I dip, bump, and fall into a second dip, and then rack the bell back down, and the exercise starts again. Push press or jerk. As you can probably hear, I'm exhaling 5 times throughout the clean and press. And now we move into the snatch. And before I want to demonstrate the exercise, I want to tell you that it is one of the king of the kettlebell exercises. Pavel Tsatsouline was right in that regard. So when you snatch the weight, you have to understand that if you don't want to turn your hands into hamburger meat, you have to perfect technique. And if you want to be able to push through this test, unbroken, make it without having the kettlebell touch the floor, plus this one-arm switch, then your technique and your skill have to be top notch. So in an unbroken fashion, after we finish the 32 clean and press or clean and jerk, we move into the snatch. And now the snatch is just an elevated clean. So the same biomechanical fundamentals that I do in the clean now happen in the snatch. The only difference is the top fixation is now the goal. So I snatch the bell overhead instead of just down to my hip. So it's the same movement. I hip thrust the weight upwards, but now I keep my arm extended, and then I want to insert my full wrist again inside the kettlebell window as soon as possible. And from this position, I corkscrew it, I drop the kettlebell like this, and then I wait for my arm to reconnect with my body. And as you can see, I use my upper body as leverage as well. So I pull back, and then I pull back. So it's not just the up and down face, but it's also back and forth. So now after the snatch and after you've almost died, we now move into the goblet squat. And the goblet squat is the simplest of them all, but doesn't mean that it's easy to do. So I grab the kettlebell like this in a sandwich grip, both feet approximately shoulder width stance, feet point to the left and to the right respectively, chest up, and I hinge and I squat down as far down as I can, and I come back up. And if you have great mobility, here's what I did. I do a couple of reps, and if I'm tired a little bit, I rest for a couple of seconds, and then I come back up. The IKFF test would not only sharpen your kettlebell skills, it would also train every single muscle fiber that you have in your body. And here's this unique blend that the kettlebell provides. You are moving in some sort of locomotive fashion, which requires for your cardiovascular endurance to build and to work properly. But since you're also working with a weight, you also have to work with your strength capacities. And so this creates this unique blend of what Thierry Sanchez called hybrid or special endurance. And I believe this is the what the hell or the kettlebell effect that can taper off or that can give you such an amazing skill transfer into everyday life and into other sports as well. Here's the next thing that you have to do. Clean and press that like and subscribe button. Share with a friend who's also interested in kettlebells. And if you made it this far, consider signing up for Kettlebell Plus. Hundreds of follow-along workouts, skill lessons, tutorials, everything that you've been dreaming of a proper kettlebell membership with a great kettlebell community that we are building all around the world. And the best thing, you can get started for only $1. So check it out right now.